talk about close to the edge. That's literally a cliff after that. Man. But we almost got it all. Wow, that's a lot of junk. Look at that. You got rock, sand, asphalt, more sand, more asphalt, rock, compost, a little bit of trash, and a lot of compost. Boy, oh boy. Here's the deal. I got a really weird request. Over here behind me is what used to be the mall in our hometown. That has now since slowly been getting converted over to a second hospital / surgery center. With that, they're trying their best to clean up the property. This is kind of an eyesore. It's just probably ages of just stuff that just got pushed into this corner. So we need to get it cleaned up. I was actually dropping a dumpster over here for one of the companies that is going out of business in the mall, and the groundskeeper stopped me and said, "Hey man, I've got a pile of stuff over there. Do you think you can take care of it?" And I came over here and I was like, wow, this is really not what my equipment's made for. As you guys may know already, we've got the dumpster business with the Max XD trailer, but problem is this stuff's heavy. This stuff's really heavy. Every load of this is probably going to be upwards of like 4 to 5 tons, which is kind of pushing the limits of this. So I'll probably only be able to do a couple loads a day of this if I want to. But at the same time, this place is so desperate because I can't find anybody that they're willing to pay quite a bit of money to get rid of it. So in that case, I threw in a bid kind of high, and they came back with a counter, and I said, okay, let's do it. And so now I just have to make it work. So we'll see what happens. All right, so I originally told these guys that I would start on this next week, but I kind of got a hard head start. I couldn't get a hold of the guys so that we could use this big old loader over here. Let you take a look at that. So they got that when they're here, they can load me with it. But instead, I went ahead and ran home after I got done with some other stuff to get the skidster. So this would be here in the evening when I'm actually got some free time to get a couple loads in. The cool thing is I posted on Facebook and I was just straight up like, hey, does anybody need any hard fill? So we now have some people lined up that just want this stuff, and we're gonna dump it on their property so they have some hard fill, and then some of the compost, we'll find another place for that. But it worked out. It's just a simple ask. Does anybody need to fill some ditches with hard fill? Quick and easy, free to dispose of. They're happy to have it. I'm happy to get rid of it. So we're gonna start using the skidster, get one load in at least today before I have to do another dumpster rental, and we're gonna move on. Let's get it. All right, so we're hooking up the straight bucket so we can get some of that dirt and gravel first. And so we unhook the grapple, which we'll use for concrete later. But we'll get this locked in place here, and we'll get moving. All right, so we put quite a bit in here. I made sure to count. We did a lot of dirt from that first stack. It barely looks like we made a dent. The thing is, the front half of this pile is the heavy stuff. You got the gravel, the concrete, and the dirt and the asphalt in the front, and then all the compost in the back. So what I did, and I put a little bit too much on one side. As you can see, I kind of put it towards the front, but I counted my scoops. We got 10 scoops in here. Probably could put more, but we're not gonna push it the first load because we need to go test where we're dumping this too. So that's about 10 scoops of stuff. So from here, what we're gonna do, OSHA approved how I'm walking here, is we are going to test to make sure that this thing can even lift it. Pretty confident that we're still underweight. I'm rated for 28,000 pounds, so I'm sure we're good there, but let's see how this sounds. And I can compare this based on how many roof jobs I do, because I know roof jobs, usually I limit myself to 40 square, which puts me at about 5 tons or less. So I'll be able to tell based on this noise this makes if we're kind of close to that. It's very heavy, and it's about where that it would be. So we're gonna stop there. I know about 10 scoops from that dirt pile is pretty much my max with the skidster. So at this point, we're gonna move on. So let's go do it. Let's go get rid of it. And with everything, we need to lock up because, you know, everybody wants a skidster. Ooh, I want to take the keys too. We don't need anybody joyriding it. Latch. Latch. Who needs a cab when your doors are always open anyway? Woo. There we go, y'all. And I mean, I know this is totally secure since every Kubota key is exactly the same. Let's move. All right, so we made it to where this is supposed to get dropped, and as you can see, he's having some problems with the road kind of washing off into a creek bed. It might be kind of hard to see, but over this edge, we just have absolute just slope. So it looks to me like he wants to basically take a bunch of this hard fill and kind of pile it up before he puts in some ravines and some new gravel in here. So I just shot him a couple pictures of some areas over here because he's actually not here, but he wasn't too worried about it since he'll be using a tractor. But I didn't want to just throw it right, you know, in the way. So I just asked him where he wanted it. We're waiting to hear back, and then we're gonna dump it. Disclaimer, guys, this isn't necessarily like something you should just go do and do. You really have to have a respect for your equipment, the power of how heavy this stuff is, and honestly, knowing how to drive on gravel. I know that sounds really dumb, but I'm in 4-wheel drive right now because I started going up the hill and then stopped. I came to a stop. Obviously, as soon as I did that, I lost my momentum and I had to put it in 4-wheel drive because I was just spinning my tires. One thing you got to keep in mind too is it's pretty dangerous to be uphill with this much weight. Look at my tires right here. Barely on the edge of the road. So it easily could fall in there. And the other thing is, this trailer just wants to pull me down into this giant hole, which is basically the creek that he's trying to fill that's washing the road away over here. So have a respect for it. Be very careful when you do something like this. This isn't just something you just go do and, you know, no experience with the trailer. You got to be careful. This could be messy. So let's just hope everything goes smooth, and that's it. Biggest thing I'm trying to do is keep as much of this over here as possible so that the driveway is at least clear when he drives through. I've got my door wide open in case I need to jump in and slam the brakes even more. We're gonna take some wood and we're gonna just put a little bit in front of the tires, just so we hope it's just another little thing. Safety first, guys. Now we're gonna go ahead and lift it up. It is gonna be heavy. All right, so we got a little bit that poured out, but at the end of the day, we still have quite a bit to go, and we're trying not to get it on the road, so it's gonna be pretty tough, but we'll try. All right, so we couldn't push it all the way down, partially because probably this tree's in the way, honestly. That little thing is kind of keeping me from getting the trailer even farther back and into this hole. But next we might put it right there. He said basically all this is gonna start getting cleared out. Other than that, we kept as much of it off the road as possible, and we should be good to go. Move on to the next one. All right, so we're on the second load here, and it barely feels like it's made a dent, but to be honest, the biggest part here, the heavy stuff, is about probably a third of the way gone, which is going to be the heavy stuff. Once we get into the mulch and stuff, that's going to be a little bit lighter. But yeah, I estimated about 6 loads. I won't be surprised if we end up with 8. So we will see what happens here. We're gonna get this one unloaded, and this is probably gonna be a week-long project because I have to fit this in between my regular dumpster rentals. But as I've got a dumpster free, this is basically what I'll be doing. All right, so load 2 we're gonna do over here in this big old drop off the edge. Plus we have a little bit more room, less trees, and as this piles up, he can kind of move it around where he wants. But this should give us a little bit better of an angle. What I'm running into though is I've got plenty of room on this tire over here, but man, you come over to this side, it's like you don't want to go too far over the edge. Probably shouldn't walk between this when something's about to hang off a cliff, just so you know. But yeah, we don't want to get so far to the edge here with all this weight that all this just landslides down. So you got to be really, really careful in these scenarios. All right, so what we got going here is we're gonna pick up some of this mulch and dirt, and it has some of these chunks of asphalt, and we're gonna use this as a base layer, putting it in the dumpster because we don't want to puncture the bottom of the dumpster, the sides of the dumpster, and then we'll pick up some of these larger chunks of concrete and add them to it. That way, as those pieces of concrete fall in, we've just got a little bit more cushion. Good pick. It's a nice full bucket. It's actually Keegan's first time using my skidster, but I figured it was time that he learned how to do it. Believe it or not, when he was in the military, he used to clean out all the snow on their base with a skidster, but he had a tired skidster, so this is a little bit different. You gotta fight the asphalt a little bit more because it has so much traction. But I mean, he didn't have to really worry about picking stuff up and dumping it all the time because he was usually just pushing snow. But I mean, it's literally his second bucket and he's doing just fine. So you gotta teach your employees if you ever want your employees to work without you there. So this is a prime example. Woo! Talk about close to the edge. That's literally a cliff after that. Man. But we almost got it all. Can't do much better than that. Seriously. Keegan's getting the last of it out so we don't want to end up pulling away and getting it all on the road. Back for another load. This will be our fourth. Ooh, there's a big chunk of concrete there. Let's see how that hits. Well, that was heavy. Oh no! I scratched my dumpster. Ooh, this one's heavy. Oh man, a couple plastic cups. People litter so much. Woo! Tire's a little cranked there. It's a lot of pressure. We need this stuff to just spill out. Pour, pour, pour! There's a couple huge slabs of concrete under this dirt, which the customer probably will love. Whee! Landslide! Landslide! That's what they wanted. Fill. That's filling. I don't know what they're doing with it or how they're building this back up, but that's what they want. I don't ask questions, I just dump it. Got both trucks with me because I gotta go pick the wife up from work because the Jeep's in the shop. So call it for the day today, but got 3 loads in plus a couple dumpster rentals, and it's kind of weird to see somebody else still drive my truck, but I do love it. Got the squad running down the road. That's the goal, I guess. All right, guys, it's a new day, and holy cow, was it a long night. I got home around midnight, went to bed around 1, I was all pumped, and take a look at this. You can hardly see it. I got another 20-yard dumpster, but this one's very different. I ended up trading a 14-yard dumpster for it. Straight up trade. And I'm going back for another one in about less than a week. And I'm paying cash for that one, and it's actually under like market value, which is amazing. The guy that had this had a Dodge 2500, and he said it was just a little much sometimes when people were putting construction materials in there to have this size dumpster with his Dodge. And well, I have a much bigger Dodge, so I was like, it doesn't bother mine. And I mean, I use 20s all the time, so I was like, I need more 20s. I've got events coming up where I need multiples. I'm talking really quiet right now because it's like just right at around 5 o'clock and my wife's still asleep. But I needed this dumpster so bad because I actually had a 20-yard dumpster reserved for today, and I didn't have one. So I had to get it last night. So I ended up making it work out with this guy to go pick this thing up, and I did. But then after we do that, we're literally going to go from this truck to this before 7 o'clock. I need to go. I brought this back to town. I need to go get that rented to somebody else just over by the shop, actually, not too far from my shop. So what we got to do is we need to jump from one truck to the other right away. So let's get going. And just like that, in less than 24 hours, we've already rented her out. Man, that's a tall dumpster. I'm about 5'6", so it's over 6 foot. I like it. So one thing about those 20-yard dumpsters that is incredibly obvious is those Lone Star heavy-duty doors. They have a single swinging open door, significantly heavier than a Max XD dumpster, 20-yard. with just the barn doors that open up halfway between. But I will say these heavy duty doors latch 10 times better than the barn doors, and I think it's a better system. The quality of the dumpsters, like I did in one of my videos before, Max XD compared to Lone Star. The Lone Star, I like everything except for the fact that the paint chips like crazy. Terrible finish compared to the Max XDs, which get powder coated. But I believe they do make Max XDs with those massive doors. And if I didn't already say it, the green dumpsters I have are Lone Stars. The black ones I have are Max XDs. So I actually have multiples of each now, which is kind of funny. But I really do. I really like those Lone Star dumpsters. But when you load them up, they load a little differently because they're so heavy in the back because that door's there. So I can definitely see how this guy thought it was a little excessive for his truck, because when you're going down the road, you have all that weight in the back. And he told me about a couple stories where guys filled a dumpster that big full of plaster, a couple other guys who did some other construction projects, and it was just more than he was comfortable with doing all the time. So he just figured that it was cheaper to trade or sell the dumpsters rather than upgrade his truck right now, with the way the trucking industry is in terms of trade-in value and buying a new truck. So it's kind of what we came to. And I mean, I'm happy with the trade. He's very happy with it, how it played out for him. I definitely feel like I might have got the better end of the deal, but I am doing the second trip on my own. I'm going to drive out to where that dumpster is, and I'm picking it up. This last night we met in between. Super cool guy, but love being in this industry and the people you meet and the tricks you learn from each other, and it's kind of fun. All right, so we're going to go leave the 6.7. And now what we're gonna go do is jump in the 5.9. Normally I'd be worried about blocking my wife in, but she's definitely still asleep because it's Saturday and it's about like 6:35 now. So we're gonna go jump in the 5.9 and get on the road. Oh, I love this truck just as much, but just in different ways. So we already got her strapped up even, so she's ready to go. I did this before I even left town to go pick up that other skid, or that other dumpster, because I knew I need to. Only bummer is I didn't really give it a wash, but we're gonna run by real quick and we're gonna go ahead and get some fuel in this, because I don't want to show up without actually filling it up for the customer. Another thing I make sure to do is bring my computer so somebody can electronically sign their contract. I've got my contract written up. I want them to sign that on here, and then I'm actually going to take pictures of the unit right when I get it off the trailer. That way we also have the condition of the unit when I drop it off, and then I can get the pictures of the unit when I pick it up, and I drop it all into a file that I have on Google Drive. I have a couple terabytes, I believe, of data that I can get into Google Drive, so I save pretty much everything there. So each person has a date, a file, and equipment loaded into their specific file. That way I always have it. Celsius, when are you going to sponsor me? I drink one of these every day. Or 3. 200 milligrams of liquid life. I love it. I'm gonna make sure to top off that fuel. Ooh. That could have been messy. It's so expensive. Here to check those chains. Ooh, that's tight. That ain't going anywhere. All right, customers here. We're gonna get our pictures. All right, that was all there is to it. Customer signed everything, presented their documentation to me. They paid with a card, kept that card on file in case any damages. They also pay a self-insurance, so I do a 10% fee off of whatever the rental is. So let's say they have it for a day, I charge 10% of that, or if they have it for a week, I charge 10% of that, and that covers up to 10x what they do in damages. After that, it gets reported to their insurance company. So I take pictures of absolutely everything on the machine, and then take pictures of the actual equipment itself and the hours. So that's it. Now it's time to go home and work on the next thing. There's no such thing as a weekend when you have your own business and you're doing side hustles. There's just no such thing. I hear a lawnmower. I guess that means it's late enough to start mowing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna drop a time lapse here. Super satisfying to watch those time lapses, right? We'll see if it works. Of me actually just cutting the backyard. So you're willing to watch, if you're willing to watch that, enjoy a couple seconds of that. Otherwise, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for reaching out about your questions and dropping comments in all my videos, and even just reaching out personally. I do appreciate it. I really like making these videos when I hear from you guys. Feel free to drop comments with any additional questions you have about what I do, and feel free to put some ideas in there. I want to make some creative content, and I also want to make some helpful and entertaining content. So drop those suggestions in each of these videos and just let me know what you think. Otherwise, catch you on the next one. Like, subscribe, follow. I'll see you.